Welcome back to MJL 3764 collecting Elvis on vinyl. Today I thought we'd look at some compilation albums, but before we do that I'd just like to have a recap on my last video. In my last video I showed the full album and I showed an Italian variant. Unfortunately I didn't explain what was different about the variant on the Italian copy. So here's the original, this is the Italian copy. If you look at the track listing, you'll see that it actually runs in the order of the LP sleeve, which, as most people would know, that the original album, even though the sleeve printed the song titles in this order, it wasn't the order in which they played. So the original album finished with It's Impossible, track 5. On the sleeve, It's Impossible was track 3. Now on the Italian album they do actually play in that order. So instead of finishing with It's Impossible, the Italian 1976 issue finishes with I Will Be True. And on side 2, instead of finishing with Don't Think Twice, It's Alright, it ends up with Love Me, Love the Life I Lead. Same as the album cover. So that's a variant to look out for, which I forgot to mention on the last video. Now back to the compilations. Now recently we've been looking at some albums which some fans criticise as being leftovers and having no thread to them. As we know, Elvis did make albums with a thread to them, like the Christmas albums, the gospel albums, the country album, live albums. As discussed in a previous video, we know he was going to make a folk album, but unfortunately that got shelved. But one thing which he never did get round to doing was making a blues album, which I think was a shame, because I think that would have been a really big seller. So the first compilation album in the UK of blues type material came out in 1983, and that was this release, Blue Rhythms. The double album, 24 tracks on the Everest label, and it was originally in blue vinyl. And that's what it looked like. This album came in a gatefold sleeve with notes on all the tracks. And the back cover listed the tracks, which was a good selection. Again, if I had to gripe, some tracks like I Want to Be Free, I Want You With Me, and certainly Stuck on You, maybe I wouldn't have put on this compilation. I probably would have put something like Stranger in My Hometown, Down in the Alley just a little bit, maybe stuff like that, which was maybe a little bit more bluesy. That's just my own opinion. Front cover features Elvis in 1975 wearing the Alpine suit. I call this the Alpine suit because I cannot bear the chicken bone suit, which some fans call it. I quite like this suit actually, it comes in for a lot of criticism. I prefer this suit actually to the gypsy suit, which was worn around the same time. Now this was reissued on black vinyl in around 1985 on the Premier label, but this is the 1983 original blue pressing. In 1987 this album appeared, Mesa Blues Volume 1, quickly followed up by Mesa Blues Volume 2. Now, I was going to purchase this album, but on closer inspection I found out that Volume 1, Side 1 and 2, was actually the first record of Blue Rhythms, And volume 2 of A Mess of Blues was the second record of Blue Rhythms. So basically it was the same album in a different cover. So I passed on volume 1 and volume 2 in 1987. But in 1988 it was issued again in this, which is a thicker cardboard sleeve which houses those two records. So it was now a double album in a single jacket. That's what the back looks like. Again, exactly the same track listing as the Blue Rhythms album. It was on the Premier label. And the two jackets were volume 1 and volume 2. And the back looked like that. The reason I purchased this copy was it was a lot cheaper than originally buying volume 1 and 2. So this box was actually a little cheaper. So I thought I'd just add it to the collection. In 1989, this album was issued. This album was also called Mess of Blues. Also featured 24 classic tracks. Surely it couldn't be the same album. Looking at the track listing, yes it is. And this was on the Performance label. So from 1983 to 1989, including reissues, this album was issued probably around 5 times. Same tracks. So the original 1983 Blue Rhythms was on the Everest label. The 1987-88 Mess of Blues was on the Premier label, and the 1989 Mess of Blues was on the Performance label. Now apparently these 3 labels are all owned by the same company, which is probably why they were using the same tracks, all in the same order on these compilations. In 1985, another blues compilation album was issued. This one was called Reconsider Baby. It was available on blue and black vinyl. I obviously opted to get the blue vinyl version on the gold Elvis 50th anniversary label. This was a single album. Track listing on the back. So you can see they've used a lot of tracks which were on the previous albums we've just shown. A couple of exceptions. My Baby Left Me's on here. Down in the Alley. High Heel Sneakers. Stranger in My Hometown. I don't believe they was on the other compilations which we've just shown. So a few different tracks. Another nice compilation. Reconsider Baby. Arguably the best blues track that Elvis ever cut. Here's something a little different. This is called Elvis Blue. It isn't necessarily a blues type album. This single album was on blue vinyl on the Star Call label, and this featured songs with blue in the title or blues in the title. So that was a pretty good idea. It's unbelievable how many songs Elvis cut with the word blue or blues in the title. Comes in a gatefold sleeve. Some quotes there from famous musicians. And there's a track listing. With some notes on the songs. Back cover looks like that. As you can see, it's an import. I believe this is Australian. Pretty sure this is an Australian release. I believe there's 19 tracks on here. I haven't racked my brains to see if they've forgotten any with the word blue in the title. I'm sure they've got them all. So a novel idea. Very good release. And of course it come with a giant full colour Elvis pin-up, a 1984 calendar. So let's take a quick look at that. Poster features a painting type picture of Elvis. I don't know what you think of that. Same as the record sleeve. So there's a few blues type compilation albums which you might like to pick up. As I said earlier, it's a shame that Elvis didn't actually cut a blues album. But we do have these, and I'm sure most fans have made their own compilation CDs. I know I have, and I've got 2 full compilation CDs of blues type material. Again, most of these compilations have steered away from the movies. I think Trouble's on here from King Creole on some of these releases. But as everybody knows me, I love the movie, so I would have stuck Hard Luck on there, and the bluesy outtake of There's So Much World to See, and even All I Needed Was the Rain and stuff like that. But that's, everyone's got their own preference of what should go on a compilation and what shouldn't. So, for the time being, just remember, one is music, life's no waste, more to come shortly.